Welcome to the first part of the Barbieheimer double feature review. Well, not really. I am aware that this week we got strong contenders on movies. We got Barbie and Oppenheimer, and lo and behold, I'm into the hype train because I was actually wanted to watch both of these movies. Although one of them out of morbid curiosity, and the other one because that one is the one that felt that it was my call. But first thing first, I haven't watched Oppenheimer yet because I want to make the double feature, but not in the same day. But I promise you that I am gonna watch Oppenheimer. I'm gonna watch Oppenheimer some other day. But in the meantime, this is gonna be about Barbie. So we're gonna concentrate on Barbie. We're gonna stick with Barbie. This is the video solely reserved for Barbie. So Barbie. What do I think about the Barbie? Well, I'm a guy. I wasn't exactly kind of like the target demographic for the doll. I do remember watching the commercials over and over and over again because, well, I really like to watch cartoons, and the commercial of the toys here and there, and once in a while the commercials, instead of showing us G.I. Joe, they come up, Barbie can do this, Barbie can do that, and all of that. Although I did had a little sister she did have a face that she did play out with the Barbies. And I remember that there were times that me as a boy, I was just gonna grab a Barbie and kind of play harsh out of it. Not because of what you think of, but it's kind of like toys are toys. It kind of, I think that it kind of transcends genders when you just grab something and just say that, hey, I'm gonna play with this doll. So yeah, girls' toys can also sometimes can also turn into boys' toys here and there. Yeah, I'm not. It's not. Even though I say that I'm not the target demographic, I still have kind of like certain experience, very small experience when it's about Barbie. And boy, that the it although I do remember once at school that they came up. We were in an English class, and we were having this interesting article that we had to read, and it was an article about criticizing Barbie and her role in women's movement and feminism and all that. And to this day, this article kind of stuck on me on my head, and whenever I saw that, Barbie, I kind of began to see some of the criticisms that it had. Although it's not exactly me who also seen it. Some people kind of saw Barbie kind of like as a shallow role model for little girls. I mean, there's even a Simpsons episode that kind of addressed that. It was the episode in which Lisa Simpson kind of finds out that her favorite doll, Stacy Malibu, cannot do kind of like bigger role models, like for example becoming kind of like a president or something like that. I don't exactly remember the episode, but who can blame me, because I really hate Lisa Simpson. Um, but either way, I did grow up. I didn't saw most of the recent Barbie commercials. I know that it still have a brand of, how can I, well, what was it? I think it was kind of like 40 or more movies in order to tie in with the doll and all that. But now, here we are, 2023, and we got the Barbie movie, in which it got me kind of like a morbid curiosity to watch it, because there's some things that the trailer kind of attract me. First of all, we got Margot Robbie as Barbie, and you know what? I dig it. I dig it because in my head, I think Margot Robbie fit better as Barbie than Harley Quinn. I know, come with the controversy here and there. Even a cousin told me, "How dare you?" when I told him that Margot Robbie doesn't fit the role of Harley Quinn. But I mean, it's not that I don't like the actress. She's just that. And of course we got Ryan Gosling playing as Ken and all that. And I was a little bit kind of like excited to watch the movie. That is until news began to come that Barbie is a feminist propaganda. And I was like, what? So I begin to hear, people saying that Barbie is a man-hating movie. It's gonna be kind of like feminist propaganda. It doesn't have kind of like a good message, because it's gonna have all this man hate and all that, and that got me worried so much that when I decided to finally watch the movie, I made myself kind of like a test. I decided to bring my notepad and decides to not only scribble. Usually, when there's a movie that got me interested, I sometimes scribble some of the key points of the movie, because sometimes I forget. But this time, I decided to try to see if this movie is as man-hating as it is said. So I put that man-hating moments in Barbie movie. So I decided to write some key moments that it kind of feels like man-hating, but let it be known that I didn't do that out of spite because I'm a man or something like that. No, I didn't do that. I just wanted to see if this was true or not. Because let me tell you, if it's about man-hating, I've seen worse movies. I saw the late, what was it, 28, I don't remember the date, but I saw that Black Christmas movie. That Black Christmas movie was offensive as frick. That one, so for me, the bar of man-hating, it goes to with that Black Christmas movie. So I had this on this was my bar for when it's about toxic femininity. And to let you know a little bit of my stance about it, I hate them both. I hate both feminism as well as how much I hate the patriarchy or masochism, because I always want to stay in the middle ground. I don't want to try to going to the extremes, like saying like, okay, man is the best in the world or woman is the best in the world, we can do all this and that. I always hated when the media kind of expose a lot of those things. For example, there are episodes for example, there's an episode of Kids Next Door that it's about man versus woman, and I hate that episode. There's a Fairly Odd Parents episode that separates man and woman because they kind of stereotypes them what woman can do and men can do as best and all that stuff. And guess what? I hate that episode because I'm not a fan when there's that battle of the gender things, because it feels kind of like unfair. And even when they try to make it kind of like a joke, I kind of find it toxic, in which it kind of lifts off the ego of the genders here and there. In a way, I do understand that you have to be proud of what you are, but come on. So So putting this in perspective, I was worried. I was worried that the Barbie movie uh, uh, was gonna how can I say it's gonna make my experience in the movie theater miserable. But still, I went there even though I had my doubts, and let me tell you, the movie was packed. I almost sold out, so I didn't get a good seat out of it. And a lot of people are there. And by the way, I went to AMC, uh, so uh, so I'm telling you out of witness perspective that I did see a movie with with real people, not people just saying that with this conspiracy theory they're saying that people are buying tickets just to fill out seats and all that. So when the movie's over, here's my real thoughts of the Barbie movie. I like and dislike this movie at the same time. Some of my fears were true. The whole feminist propaganda, I didn't feel it like a propaganda. Their message really comes as a little bit heavy-handed, to the point that me as a man could find it a little bit offensive. But I take a deep breath and realize that it's not as bad as Black Christmas. It's not as bad as that. But on the positive side, this movie has enough good things to make it kind of like watchable. But it does have problems. It's not a perfect movie, but I'm easily gonna say that this movie you can give it credit that it did have some fun with the material, and at the same time it brings out a certain stupid laugh out of it, because I kind of get to laugh at a lot of the goofy stuff that happens, and that's a good thing. I was technically enjoying all of it, even when there comes kind of like the off-color moments. I was like, it just giving a kind of like a healthy laugh out of it, because laughter can even make you forget that this movie has some heavy message out of it. And so, but I will give it this. I think I like this movie much better than Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. It was such a boring movie that was. And by the way, like I said, yes, I did find some notes to talk to you about this movie. So be warned that I'm gonna try my best to not spoil the movie, but at least there's some few stuff that I just want to address. Some things I actually memorized about it. So let's begin. So basically, the movie takes place kind of like in this surreal world called Barbie. Barbie world. What was it? Barbie world or Barbie world. And we got Margot Robbie as Barbie, and then we see other actresses who also play like Barbie. So. But Margot Robbie plays like a stereotypical Barbie, in which we get kind of like the set design that is beautiful and really mirrors the kind of like the aesthetic that you see in the Barbie commercials, and basically also the Barbie product, that everything looks plastic, and it kind of feels like kind of like it's mocking itself, or the world of Barbie, in which they drink water, but there's no water. They take a shower, but there's no water. They just float in the air when they go to the car and all that, and everything is kind of like plastic. It's almost like a live action version of the Lego movie. It's in a way or another. So. But then out of the blue, our stereotypical Barbie, she begins to spout out about death, and then her life kind of becomes a little bit more surreal, and she's like, what the hell is happening? And then she goes to a weird Barbie, which is basically a Barbie that has been cut the hair and painted and all that. And she tells her that apparently her human who played with her is going through something. She's going through some kind of sadness, and Barbie is like, what should I do? Well, just go. Just go to her. And she goes, and there's Ken tagging along. Ken played by Ryan Gosling. And apparently this Barbie world has kind of had this portal to go to the real world. So they enter the real world. How? Don't ask me. The movie doesn't even say that. You know what? Don't make things complicated. Just by that there is a Barbie world and they have their ways to go to the real world. So they go there. They find out that the real world is not what it is. And well, let's say that for the sake of things happen in which Barbie basically is finding out, her own existence. And she finds out that the real world is not exactly, the perfect world in which she goes in which she imagined like it's gonna be in the Barbie world. And of course we got Ken apparently finding out that in the real world men are most very respected, and well, he decides to take all the what he learned about patriarchy to the Barbie world because, well, he feels left out by Barbie because, well, Barbie technically treats him like a nobody. Probably like the real life doll. So let's go on a little bit with the acting, and I go along sometimes with the story. Like I said before, Margot Robbie did a good job as Barbie. Although it is kind of funny that she, like I said, she's stereotypical Barbie, and in the Barbie world we see other actresses also playing Barbie, but Barbie with a different profession. There's, Barbie Nobel Prize, Barbie Lifesaver, Barbie. I don't know if there's a fat Barbie, but I know that but I heard that there is also a Barbie on wheelchair, something like that. I don't know if there's Barbie, and everyone is kind of like a different actress. The weird Barbie is played by Kate McKinnon, by the way. And although in my head, while I was walking at home, I was thinking that wouldn't it be funnier if all those Barbies were played by Margot Robbie? Because I doubt that there was kind of like a Barbie with different ethnical race, or there's a fat Barbie, of course. But correct me if I'm wrong, but I always thought Barbie, she was kind of like the blonde woman, and she was always like that. And isn't the Barbie supposed to also have other friends? We got Skipper, of course, in the movie. So they even trying to make some obscure references to the Barbie. But still, I found it kind of funny if they could have, instead of having different actors, it's Margot Robbie, everywhere and all that. Although now come to think of it, that will be kind of quite a chore and it will cost a lot of money. And just like that, we also have Ryan Gosling as Ken. And the same thing can be said as that in the Barbie world, there are different Kens with different ethnicity, different actors, one way or another. And he was kind of hilarious in this movie. Although, if there's a little bit of criticism that I have, is that watching his dyed blonde hair, that kind of looks like plastic. Maybe I'm wrong into that spot. I think that he looks older in that movie, and he's, don't get me wrong, Ryan Gosling is a handsome guy, but physically, I don't know. There's something that makes him kind of like a very old in that movie, and I thought that when you look so old, you can't be Ken. Not even the Ken of Street Fighter you might look like. So, you know what? That would be a great joke. That would be a great joke if one day they made a new Street Fighter live action movie. have Ryan Gosling play as Ken. that, that would be hilarious. So basically, these are the main, kind of like the main characters, and other characters that appear in the movie is that there's also the movie is technically self-aware in it. So we got also the this mother and daughter, the mother played by America Ferrera, who I'm not gonna spoil too much. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna spoil a little bit. In which they're basically the family that Barbie is looking for. But let's say that America Ferrera is the one that has the connection with the Barbie and all that. At first, they thought it was the daughter because, well, the daughter and the mother, they kinda having some rocky relationship because the girl, because the girl is technically on her teenage phase. But man, that during the whole movie, she's kind of unlikable. I'm not well, America Ferrera. It could have been kind of like good, but unfortunately, these characters, while they come to us as becoming kind of like the moral compass of the movie, it it doesn't feel like they contribute too much on the movie, and sometimes you kind of forget that they're there. And speaking of forgetting us that they're there, other characters that appear, but basically it's not they if they kind of become forgettable into the movie, it's none other than the kind of like the CEOs of Mattel, and apparently they just wanted to push up the agenda of the patriarchy ruling the world, in which all the CEO of Mattel, they're all run by this business suit old man. I wrote it here that I do have a little bit of a problem that they do that they just want to hammer you in the message that the real world is full of patriarchy. And look at this, a product that is for little girls. It's run by, well, grumpy old man in business suits, and their leader is none other than Will Ferrell. It's Will Ferrell basically is Lord Business from the Lego Movie in this movie. Apparently, he's reprising his role, but you know what? They're just there to become a little bit of a foil for a while. But then they just say, because they begin to say that, oh my God, she jumped out from the Barbie world, which is the world of imagination and all that, into the real world. So we have to send her back and all that. And so they kind of have this comical way. What was it? This comical chase during the movie, which, of course, that if you go into a little bit of a logic, kind of makes you raise your eyebrows, because the real world is not exactly filled of zany characters and that they kind of act like cartoons. And yeah, the CEO kind of act like cartoon, and Will Ferrell just act like Will Ferrell. It's not that I don't like the guy. I mean, I like him. I mean, he was the elf. He was elf for Christ's sake. But oof. But basically, these are kind of like what my opinions about the cast. And I do want to address now at this point the cinematography, because this is probably one of the pluses that the movie has. Like I said, the movie is beautifully shot, and you can see how that the Barbie world it really looks like a Barbie commercial with everything plastic and all that, and you can sense the charm and imagination and the effort that they've gone through with it. And by the way, yes, because it's Barbie, get used to the color pink, because pink is everywhere. I haven't seen so much pink than a Kirby game. So what else I can tell? I already told you about that. Oh yeah, the real world. Well, it's basically Los Angeles with these type of people that they're not exactly kind of like, moody, angry, angsty people. They're just kind of like just there, but still Hollywood kind of giving them makeup to make it look kind of like how they live and all that. But again, I still kind of wonder how they managed to create, this world in which. Oh yeah, I remember that. This is probably my favorite part of the movie, which is basically the transition of of the characters going from Barbie world to the real world, which again, just get you just have to take my word for it. How they do it, where Barbie world is located in the real world, if you wanted to point a map, don't overthink it. It just happened. But the transition is again my favorite part of the movie because it becomes so colorful, in which they go in a boat, they go in a spaceship, they go in a car, and everything looks again cartoony, and I really enjoy these parts. So, but that, as much as I enjoy basically the humor of this movie, here comes where my big mixed bag happens, which is technically the theme of the movie. Like I said, the movie is heavy-handed under feminist agenda. Although, again, not as insultingly as Black Christmas. Because for what I mean, because you're gonna be surprised by this. The biggest surprise that this movie gives you, and the trailer didn't show it kind of cleverly, is that Ken is the villain. Ken becomes the antagonist of the movie, but it's mostly kind of like one of those these characters who are fool, and they find something new and they just kind of abuse it, because somehow he finds out that the real world, he finds that men are respected, they get the job that he does, and because Barbie basically took him for granted here and there, he just decides, pick up books about patriarchy, and he decided that I'm gonna bring the patriarchy to the Barbie world, so we can make all these Kens become men and all that. Although not toxic men, but there is a kind of like a patriarchy that men always have power over women and all that, and begins to brainwash the other Barbies into becoming, well, for lack of better words, kind of like the woman for their tools for men and all of that. And that subplot basically takes over the second half, in which this whole thing basically takes over, and we begin to forget that we have the CEO who are trying to follow Barbie, and because the CEO and the Will Ferrell character, they're kind of worried that because Barbie's out and Ken is doing the patriarchy things are gonna affect the real world. In a way, that's kind of clever. I gotta admit that it's still clever when you put it that way. But either way, like I said, Ken becomes the villain, and basically he that kind of leaves Barbie depressed because she feels like she can't do anything. She's having her thought that she's not as exceptional as she thought, because she wanted the world kind of like perfect and all that, but finds out that she's not perfect in the real world. She basically is having her existential crisis that she's a doll. And that eventually she's gonna come with the turns of mortality here and there. Well, well, that came out for me because the first thing that she says, because she is beginning to think about death, and if you notice, it's all because it is mirrored to the character of America Ferrera, which is the mother who is having trouble with her own life. She has an incompetent husband who doesn't speak Spanish. That she also had problems with her daughter, because her daughter, she's becoming an angsty teenager that she just that pretty unlikable, let's say. Luckily, her unlikability doesn't last too long, because, well, they kind of forget that plot. They kind of forget that plot point for a while. But basically, America Ferrera becomes kind of like the moral support of Barbie, saying that, well, I know that there's hardship in the world. There's the patriarchy, which can technically make a problem for women. But you know what? Barbie doesn't need to be very special. She just Barbie is basically a representation of that. Women can do anything, can do a lot of things. And you know what? When you think about it, the doll is actually true. And I think this is what shielded me a little bit from becoming, one of these angry guys that say that, this movie hates men and all that stuff. Because when you think about it, Barbie always was kind of like a feminist icon. I know that he has his controversies. Again, I read that article, and Barbie has their things, and they wanted to showcase that Barbie is kind of like a hard worker that has many jobs. Showcase that he can do anything that a woman can do. Although it's much kind of like in an idealistic way. It's not exactly showing her kind of like struggle here and there, everything, because, well, there is a touch of magic that you want to bring out to the Barbie, and kind of showcasing that, well, they can do anything besides being mothers. And speaking of that, actually, I think that my favorite joke on this movie is actually the beginning, because the beginning is, I don't know. I don't know if this is offensive, but whatever you're gonna take it as it is, I love that it kind of started out parodying the 2001 Space Odyssey, saying that before a little girl wanted to be mothers, and they have these baby dolls, and then Barbie appeared, and then the little girl with the baby doll, they begin to smash them on the floor like. That gave me the sign that I'm gonna have a good time with that movie, no matter the direction it took. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we just saw a baby side. Well, not baby side by human, but we saw it as dolls. But either way, it was kind of like darkly hilarious. And speaking of which, one thing that I also noticed about this movie is that the style of humor is, while I was watching the movie, then it comes up with very adult jokes, and once in a while they even spouted out the word vagina here, and I was like, okay, I know that vagina is a part of the body. I don't care what age it is in, but putting it into the perspective of moviegoers, or, well, the standard moviegoers, I was like, what is the intended target audience for this movie? I kind of realized that it's for 13 years old or more. So, okay, they got me in this one. Sorry about the cars, but either way, continuing on with this patriarchy thing, again, I didn't see it a little bit that bad, but then I began to see some of those holes, and I can see why people kind of begin to accuse it as man-hating. But it's mostly during that second during that second half, in which when Ken becomes the villain and they just want, the Barbie thinking that everything is because they are brainwashed or something like that, and this is where it gets a little bit heavy-handed. They claim that patriarchy is equal brainwashing, and then they kind of play out with the stereotypes that Ken has their ego like men does have. And although it's not exactly, let me tell you, is that movies sometimes they have kind of like the wrong thing, in which they say that women and men are one thing or another. They're separate entities, but it's more, when in real life it's a little bit more complicated than that. And I know that there are struggles in both sides. I'll say there's struggle in being a man. There's a struggle being a woman. I am aware that there's struggle because there are jerks everywhere. There's even men that they're really, really jerks. And like I said, I really don't like patriarchy as much as I don't like feminism, because both of them are extremes that it prevents coexistence. And although I think that the movie could have benefited a little bit more if they kind of find a balance into it. When it's more balanced and showcasing the message, that I will have buy it. But then they come up with this, but it becomes so heavy-handed, especially during the climax, that I can see why some people who they get butthurt easily, they kind of begin to claim it as propaganda. I didn't felt it like that, because I can tell that that wasn't the movie's intention. But still, this is kind of like my minus point that I give with this movie. Again, I wrote it here. Oh, and yeah, we got kind of like a cameo of the ghost of the creator of Barbie, which I'll say that it tried to wrap up very well. The final moments of the movie, it kind of tries to find its balance in it. They didn't make it successfully, but hey, we're talking about a Barbie movie, and they wanted to make this touching moment in which Barbie finds out her creator, even though the creator is dead and all that, and basically it's all about Barbie and, in a way, Ken finding themselves an identity. It's finding out an identity to become more than, well, Ken. Ken is more than just, well, Barbie's boyfriend, and Barbie thinking that, well, I am more than, well, someone professional and beautiful, kind of like a symbol of the perfect girl. And well, it comes out with the nice wraparound, and it ends up with a gynecologist. That I'll leave it to that. That it does end up with a gynecologist. I'm glad that I rant out a little bit on this movie, in which I might have sounded like I dislike this movie, but honestly, no. Again, I already got my bar on where man-hating is, and that is that Black Christmas movie. This one, well, it has its moments, but it's not. But you can tell that at the end they try to rectify a little bit. So I do give it a highly recommendation, because even if you take away all that make believe that there is this feminist propaganda in this movie, you can still find out a very kind of hilarious movie that it has a lot of charm, a lot of passion into it, And some people are saying that this movie it can go to the Oscars, but I wouldn't go for best movie, but I will go for this movie to be good for set decorations, because the decoration is really great, as well as the costumes that they were really good, really good. And again, there's some jokes that are hit or miss, but you know what? I can find this movie being kind of like a guilty pleasure out of laughing on some of the dumbest moments that you can find out. So well, here I am. I became a Barbie boy for this movie. So check it out. Sold separately.